Well, I want to thank everybody for joining today's Code Ninjas conference call. My name is Marty Flanagan. I am the Vice President of Franchising with Code Ninjas. And I host these calls each and every week to give you some better insight, to give you some better understanding, and be able to ask whatever questions you may have for Code Ninjas about Code Ninjas. So if you're just joining us, my name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising, and I host these calls every week. These calls are for Canada, the U.S., and the U.K., the three countries that we are in. And to give you kind of a little bit of an update, Code Ninjas by the numbers, we have currently just over 530 locations sold inside the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. We currently have close to 200 locations open. Code Ninjas itself launched as a brand in March of 2017. That's also the month we opened up our very first location. So Code Ninjas we've grown. It's been just outstanding and very validating to see the growth and to actually host these calls every week and have between 30 and 50 attendees on these calls. The intro of these calls is always the same. The first 10 or 15 minutes is to give you that information, and then we open it up to a live Q&A where you can ask whatever questions that you have for Code Ninjas, and I'll do my very best to answer those. Myself, David Graham, and Bert Sensipon started developing Code Ninjas in October of 2016, and then officially launched in March of 2017. So what's the big reasons why? I shot some video yesterday to be able to post a little bit more in terms of what really has made Code Ninjas such an outstanding opportunity and why we've grown so much. And there's so many reasons why, but we're just going to touch on a few of them today and then allow you to ask whatever questions you had for Code Ninjas. So when it comes to some of the reasons why or what we've done, well, David Graham, the founder and CEO of Code Ninjas, owned a school that taught adults how to code for many years. And through that time, he was asked week after week after week, what about the younger generation? And also being that he has a couple boys himself, he kept looking into these opportunities for the younger generation to learn more about coding development, not necessarily to silo them into a career, but really knowing and understanding that this is going to be a part of their future, to understand this world of coding, programming, development, and more importantly, the logic-based skills behind it. And you can read all articles out there from Microsoft to Apple, the multiple TV interviews and recordings that have been out there that these big companies, IBM and Amazon and Apple and Microsoft, that have talked about the value of the younger generation learning how to do this. Well, as time kept going on, he continued to search the marketplace and continued to see problems. And being a natural problem solver, continued to solve those problems and see that this is a fantastic opportunity to start a franchise and to grow a business. And David Graham has been a coder, a programmer, entrepreneur for 25 years. So it all made sense to bring it together. And people will ask why we didn't go off and do this on our own. Why did we do this as a franchise? Well, after David Graham sold his company, which is now part of Wazoo, this was a natural transition to be able to bring Code Ninjas to the market. And one thing that we talk about all the time at Code Ninjas is delivering that exceptional experience. And being in franchising myself for more than 15 years and working with thousands of entrepreneurs over the last 15 years, there is no one that can deliver a better experience, that exceptional experience, than an entrepreneur and a franchisee in their market. So it was a natural direction for us to go into franchising and to allow our franchisees to do that. But then there were some problems with that as well in terms of understanding who can deliver and teach and coach the Code Ninjas curriculum, which we'll talk about in a minute. But as we built out our model, we built out our franchise from day one, we knew we were going to be a franchise, and that really gave us an opportunity to focus in on what makes a franchise great. The support structure, for example. As we build out the Code Ninjas support structure, we built it out for you to be able to collaborate with your local franchisees or franchisees from all over the world, the UK, Canada, the US. It gives you an opportunity to connect with franchisees, to learn from franchisees who have that success out there. And now with close to 200 locations open, you're going to be able to learn from fellow franchisees who've been out there for a couple of years already operating their Code Ninjas, and hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that they faced and be able to take advantage of the best practices out there from our franchisees. So obviously building that out there, having that platform for you to connect with franchisees from all over the country, allowing your center to connect with other center directors and other Code Ninjas that are in your community and outside your community. And then also building learning platforms like Code Ninja University that allows you and your team to be able to have that online resource to read more, to follow links, to be able to look at everything broken up into stages from marketing, from your development, from when you're pre-opening, and following, for example, that 12-week pre-opening marketing template and opening template that we have. And also, obviously, having internal compliance department, operational department, marketing department, technology, curriculum. These are individuals that we put into place from day one that obviously some have a pretty good depth in that exact role that they're in. So we built out those roles and built out those job descriptions before we even launched as a brand. So we knew exactly who we were going to need and what role they could be in. And we have obviously franchising experience from the marketing department to compliance to operations to the development side. So we're very much in tune with what it's going to require a franchisee who has zero experience to open up their Code Ninjas, along with obviously setting up all the preferred vendors to give us that strong buying power. But also those preferred vendors know what it's like to work with a franchisee, no matter their business acumen. And that's really important to understand. So as Code Ninjas kept coming together, we kept coming together in terms of how we were going to launch Code Ninjas. Obviously, the curriculum was a pretty, obviously, enormous piece of all of this, and really how we were putting that together to solve the problems on the market today. Some of the problems that we solved in the market today, there's many, but some of them we solved in the market today for the younger generation to get involved in this space in terms of understanding the coding, programming, development, but really the logic-based thinking behind it. Where everything out there in the market today was maybe a camp setting. Maybe their program was 3 to 4 weeks long or 3 to 5 days long. It was pretty limited. It was all set up by classrooms, so you have to show up at an appointed time, which is still being done today. They were a little bit more complicated in terms of how they were educating and teaching in a classroom-based setting. We obviously went past that, and we'll talk about how we created our program and ongoing education. So there was really a solid testing ground, which we're going to talk about how we do that as well. There wasn't a lot of little accomplishments. There wasn't multiple languages being taught through a program, multiple technologies. So we solved quite a bit of these problems in the market and allowed families to get involved no matter their experience. So as I explain the curriculum, you're going to hear probably there's reasons behind every aspect of our curriculum and how it's designed to solve problems that were on the market and how we fix that. So, for example, we have multiple different programs for families to get involved in Code Ninjas, not just one. Here in the U.S., Canada, we have about 7 different opportunities. In the U.K., we have 6 for families to get involved in Code Ninjas. The main 2 are going to be camps and called our Code Ninjas Create program. Now with our Code Ninjas Junior program, that's coming on strong as well. Code Ninjas Junior program is a non-reading based program that goes from 4 to 8 years old. Code Ninjas Create, which is our bedrock, which is our main curriculum that we started Code Ninjas with, is 7 to 14 years old. And then we offer workshops, we offer camps, we offer parents' night out, we have birthday parties, and soon to be our Code Ninjas Pro curriculum, which is going to be for that 14 years and older, so even into adulthood. That program is available. So to kind of talk about that main curriculum that really is going to be your number one revenue source inside your Code Ninjas is that Code Ninjas Create. That's what really solved a lot of the problems in the market today is Code Ninjas Create. And that program is made up of 9 different, we used to call it our belt program. That's made up of 9 different belts to stay with that karate theme. Inside each belt is a learned set of skills and concepts. And at the end of each belt, students are required to build a game on our game development platform that's also known as an LMS, a learning management system. That is where our students, our kids, our ninjas are going to be able to show their proficiency in the skills and concepts they've learned with inside each belt. Now, this is a game-based curriculum. This is meant to be fun. So at 7 to 14 years old, it needs to be fun. So this is a game-based curriculum. This curriculum is at all the belts from 1 to 9. It's called cumulative learning. So every belt compounds and builds off the other. So at the end of each belt, not only are they showing the skills and proficiencies from that belt, but also the prior belt. So it all compounds onto one another. And they continue to show their proficiency. So they're building a game that actually requires them to use those skills and concepts from inside that belt and the prior belts, and they're showing their proficiency in that way, and that allows them to progress through. This curriculum has a robotics program built into it. This curriculum is 90% proprietary and exclusive to Code Ninjas. We have proprietary textbooks into this curriculum. This is a self-paced but not self-taught curriculum. This is not a module-based learning where they can just do it from anywhere. They are going to need help from our code senseis. They are going to run into problems that they cannot solve, that cannot just be taught through a screen. They're going to have to be shown. They're going to have to walk through these problem-solving skills, learn them, and then continue to progress through. This is a flexible learning system. It used to be called our drop-in curriculum. A flexible learning system, they're coming in at their parents' convenience. They're not coming in at a certain appointed time. They're not coming in to join a class or a lecture. We don't do classes. We don't do lectures. This is a drop-in setting. So they're coming in at their convenience. This curriculum lives on our platform in the cloud, and our students access this through the dashboard. So they're going to come in. They're going to scan their wristband. The color of their wristband actually matches the color of the belt that they're on, which then unlocks a security measure and allows them to access their dashboard. And they can actually go back and play games that they've done in the past, make minor changes, and progress in the curriculum. Our slogan, we say all the time, is kids have fun, parents see results. That's our focus. So we also have a parent portal where parents can go on, play the games that their son or their daughter has built, and see how it was graded and what skills that they put into practice and what they're learning all the way through. So this curriculum itself takes 3 to 4 years to accomplish. This curriculum works through 3 different technologies. They're going to spend about a year and a half in JavaScript, year and a half in JavaScript. They're going to spend about a year in Lua. They're going to spend about a year in C#. So they're working through 3 different technologies. They're learning the syntax. They're not just cutting and pasting as they go through. So like I said, this curriculum takes 3 to 4 years. Parents pay a monthly flat tuition rate per month for their son or their daughter to access the Code Ninjas curriculum on-site only. They cannot access and progress. They can show parents, can see it through the parent portal, but they cannot progress through the curriculum at home. It can only be done inside of Code Ninjas. At about 2 hours per week is average right now for our students. That does max out. They can't come in every single day for 4 or 5 hours a day. That's not how this works. They have to absorb these skills. And remember, we're working with 7 to 14 years old. We have an 8% month-over-month attrition, actually 8.6% month-over-month attrition. That is pretty impressive. So we're keeping our students, a majority of our students, month-over-month. So that gives you a little bit of insight on that curriculum that's done. The code senseis, those are those who are going to be coaching and teaching the Code Ninjas curriculum. They're typically between 16 and 22 years old. They're going to have some sort of robotics or ICT or computer science background, and they're going to be coaching and teaching the Code Ninjas curriculum, but their number one responsibility is to deliver an exceptional experience. That fun, that engagement, that culture, that culture that is contagious. The kids are having a great time. They're having fun. They're learning at the same time. And the number 2 responsibility is to coach and teach the Code Ninjas curriculum. They themselves are being trained in by doing the curriculum themselves, but they're not speeding through all 9 belts. They're only going through the curriculum up to where you have students. So you're not having them be trained in for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. They're actually working through the curriculum on-the-job training as well. So that gives you some insight on that curriculum side of it for that Code Ninjas Create. The Code Ninjas Junior is a non-reading based curriculum. It's very structured, very similar, where parents pay a flat tuition rate. They come in. The Code Ninjas Pro, that's a mobile-based program that'll be released by the end of the year, and that is not like there's going to be a 40-year-old coming in and sitting next to a 14-year-old. Not cool, not happening. So that's a mobile-based program with in-house labs, so it's a little bit different. Parents' night out, glorified babysitting. We have great activities for kids to do. That's very personalized, believe it or not. We also obviously do birthday parties, camps and workshops, dads and drones, dads and daughter nights, parent tech education, and then camps, which typically last 5 days long whenever there's not school, that camp-based learning. So multiple opportunities. Also, we have an after-school program we offer in Canada and the U.S. That after-school program is that's a little bit different as well, and I obviously need some experience back if you are somebody who's interested in that. So this gives you some insight on what we're doing with inside Canada, the U.S., and the U.K. The U.K., we have grown very, very fast. Obviously, also done the same in Canada, which we're almost sold out of Canada, which coming up here will be closing Canada out completely. And then the U.S., obviously a tremendous amount of opportunity still available in the U.S., which is pretty exciting. We're opening up to more and more markets now that we have more opportunities for families to get involved, because there's not like a certain requirement for experience that's going to be needed. So this kind of is how that first 15, 20 minutes goes with every single one of these calls. And if you've listened to these calls in the past, you know that I welcome your questions, that I do have a genuine interest in answering your questions. I've been doing these calls for 3 years every Friday, and I think I've missed 10 Fridays in 3 years, and we consistently have 30 to 50 attendees on each call. So this is going to be your opportunity to ask whatever questions you have, no matter what market that you're in. I'll do my very best to answer those. And it's pretty easy how this works. And it's just what you're going to do is you're going to hit, and *6 allows you to be virtually raise your hand. And when you virtually raise your hand, I'm able to unmute you, and you can ask whatever question you have. And if I've done just like a wicked, incredible job, and nobody has any questions, then obviously I would wind down our call today early. But if you do have questions, this is going to be your time to hit *6. That'll virtually raise your hand. I'll be able to unmute you, and you'll be able to ask whatever question you have about Code Ninjas or for Code Ninjas. And this is going to be that time for you. We will go as long as it takes until all the questions are answered. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, this is Zia from California, and I have a question regarding the already established unit in the Bay Area, and if yes, can I go and visit those units, those centers?
So our first location will open up in the Bay Area, I believe, in the coming months. We do not have, being that we're a child-based center, we do have a process for anybody who's looking to get involved in Code Ninjas. So if somebody wants to visit a center, we actually, we can't force our franchisees to do that, but we do have a process. So if somebody's come to Discovery Day and spent time with us, we can always call a local franchisee and see if you can do a visit. If somebody just randomly walks in to Code Ninjas, you will probably be turned away because you haven't been vetted. They don't know who you are, and we really don't know who you are. So when it comes to visiting a center, what we've shown as success, and other franchise systems across the world have shown success in, is coming to a Discovery Day and experiencing it firsthand with the corporate office team.
Okay, can you elaborate on a Discovery Day?
Sure. Discovery Days, we host them every month, and they're done at our corporate office in Houston, Texas. They start at 9 a.m. and they go until about 3 p.m. And there's usually anywhere from 20 to 40 attendees per Discovery Day. And we visit, we go to our live center, and we get to meet, and obviously we have our entire team there as well. And we also host Discovery Days for anybody listening. We also host them in the UK. Our next one in the UK is on November 11th.
Okay. And like what day you say in Houston?
Well, they're by invitation only. So if you're working with one of my team members, make sure you connect with them, and they'll get you the invitation and the registration to.
So when is the next one in Houston, you say?
The next one in Houston, I believe, is in November, the third week in November. And then we have December 10th. But again, you can't just show up at our office. Those are by invitation only, so you have to meet a few benchmarks to be able to attend.
Of course,
yeah. Okay, wonderful.
Okay, thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, obviously, I think most of us have seen the cost for the Code Ninjas franchise all laid out in spreadsheet format on the website. My question was specifically in the marketing and advertising of franchise location. Basically, what would the franchisee be contributing to that effort, and how much is provided by the promotions company that would be partnering with you guys when bringing a franchise on board?
Well, when it comes to the marketing-wise, we have a lot of experience in franchise marketing in terms of individual units. What we don't do is we don't take the money from you to market for you. We've built digital marketing pathways. We've built best practices. So we have an entire marketing team that actually builds your digital strategies for you and has that already done. And then you're able to actually set your budget to market directly in your community. We don't do national advertising, although we do as a company contribute to some national advertising, but we do not take a national advertising fund from you. So we don't take your money from you and market for you. We can do that if you want, but we give you the opportunity to follow the certain strategies that we have and set your budget accordingly to be able to market your facility. We also work with a PR firm. So when it comes to opening your center, not only do you have a 12-week pre-opening marketing template to follow, you also have a PR firm that you work with.
Okay, so it's required that once, signing this agreement with you guys that we use your marketing team, or it's possible to go with a third-party marketing team to promote this ourselves? For
digital strategies, you're going to have to follow the pathways and what we have laid out for you. You're not going to be able to go off on your own and hire your own digital strategy company. We have had tremendous success with our centers, so you're best off following what's already been working than starting over from scratch.
Okay, and you said it's basically like a menu that that team would bring us, and we basically pick according to our budget what we want the expenditures to be on and what types of campaigns we would want then digitally?
Yeah, we actually go into more detail we have an entire marketing presentation that we do at our Discovery Days.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
Got you. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
That's the extent of my questions. Nope.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Marty. First of all, thank you for this call. My question was, I'm calling from New Jersey. So, how do we know what locations are available? Like, do you decide what locations are open, or we have to come and say, okay, you know what, we would like to open a franchise in this location? How does that work?
Yeah, all markets have to be approved. So we have an entire setup for when it comes to approving markets. I would suggest that if you should have received an email or contact from one of my team members. If you haven't, then you need to email me, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, @codeninjas.com. And we work with you individually on your market to see not only is it available, but is it viable? So we have the resources to look at the demographics. We use internal and external matrix to determine if that market is a viable market. So I would suggest, reaching out to the individual that's reached out to you. If I'm on my team, if they haven't, please email me and I'll get you connected.
All right. Thank you, Marty. That was helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have a question?
Yes. Hi. A couple of questions. Regarding the apart from franchisee fee, which is the initial franchise fee of $29,000, what is the renewal fee, and after what period of time is that?
So yeah, in the U.S. it's 29,000. In the UK it's 24,000 pounds, and then in Canada it's 24,000 US. When it comes to the renewal, it's that our agreements are for 5 years, and your renewal right now is $2,500. We don't charge another franchise fee. We don't charge half of the then current franchise fee, which a lot of brands do. We charge a $2,500 renewal fee, which basically covers the legal aspects and paperwork that we have to do on our end.
$2,500 again, is that per year or for another period of 5 years?
That's at the end of your 5 years. You would do that, and that would re-up you again for another 5 years at $2,500.
All right. The other question I had was with another fee which you have is the electronic systems fee, basically to have an email account with codeninjas.com. How much is that fee?
Well, so it's not it's not just an email. So when you have Office 365, which is what we do with Code Ninjas, and it's $110 a month. That Office 365 account is giving you access to all the internal resources that Code Ninjas has, which is our Code Ninja University, our communication platform with the rest of our franchisees. That's your email, that's your website. So it's that we have our podcasts in there, we have our videos in there, we have our training materials in there. So it's not just an email. That $110 covers you quite a bit more than that.
Okay, and then do you also then have any supplier testing or evaluation costs apart from the fees?
No.
So there won't be any cost for testing or evaluation?
Nope.
Okay, and what about charges for, sometimes you have mystery customer quality evaluation or inspections? Is there something?
Yeah, if you're not following brand on point, it's actually laid out in there. It's going to be a retraining fee. So if you're deciding to go rogue as a franchisee and go off brand and go rogue on us, we can charge you up to $1,500 a month for us to come out to your facility and retrain you in on making sure you're staying on brand and on point. We have to have consistency with our centers.
No, I understand. I just wanted to make sure if there are any other fees associated with that, and thanks for clarifying that. Yes, there are. What about any late fees? Do you have any?
You can actually go through the entire item 9 in our franchise disclosure document, and you can walk through all the fees. For late fees, that it would be almost impossible to happen because everything with transactions is done automatically through our system. So it'd be pretty difficult for you to have a late fee.
Okay, and if a lease runs out of a particular, if the landlord says, hey, I'm tearing down this building and you need to relocate, is there any relocation fee?
Nope.
Okay, that's good to know. And what about any fees with respect to audit expenses? If there are any audits which need to take place?
No, everything's done automatically through our system. We built it all into our system.
Okay, and the royalty fees is 6%?
8.25%.
8.25%. I must have an older document then. Okay, so 8.25%.
No, because it's actually broken up into 2 different percentages. You probably just read the one.
Okay. And then apart from, I know one person asked about the clarification with respect to advertising and promotion. So other than the initial promotion, we're also talking about 3% of net sales for local advertising and promotion. Is that given to you, or is it something which is...
You spend that on your own. We don't take that money from you. We don't want to be the marketing police either. So we're going to trust in our franchisees that they're marketing their business. Obviously, we can see what's being done and what's not being done, but we ask you to spend that on marketing for your Code Ninjas. And, we have not had an issue with almost 200 locations open. There's absolutely not been an issue in spending money on marketing.
And what about software licensing fees?
Well, that all depends on what's happening in your center, but you're going to have, if you have to use a camp or a workshop or some external piece, you may have to end up paying, like coding drones, for example. You may have to be purchasing the materials there.
Okay. No, I'm more like in terms of, is there any per student, if I have 100 students, do I have to pay per student basis a fee for software use of Code Ninja?
There'll be throughout those 9 belts. There'll be one belt out of the 9. There's one belt that you have to pay $20 per student per year to access, but that doesn't mean all of your students will be on that at one time. There's one belt out of all 9 that they'll be accessing an external software that was built and customized for us, but that's an extra $20 per student per year. And that's not paid year over year over year. It's just that one time.
Okay. And sorry, I have many questions. This is the last one, is with respect to, I believe you have annual convention, and that is something which is that mandatory?
Yes.
And what's the fees for that?
It's laid out in the agreement. I believe that if you don't attend, you pay the peak ticket price. But if you do attend, you're paying a lower ticket price.
Okay. And it has to be attended by the franchise holder and not a representative?
Correct.
Unless if there is any medical condition or anything, you know?
Yeah, we work with my compliance team.
Okay.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thanks for the questions.
Break-even point, is that something?
Not going to talk about any financials because it's against franchising law for me to do that.
No problem. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
All right. No problem. Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Do you have me on mute? Do you have a question? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Hi, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hey, to open up a franchise, can you hear me though?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I was on headset and maybe you guys couldn't hear me. Do you have to be like an American citizen to open this franchise in USA?
Well, you don't have to be necessarily a citizen, but you do have to be legally able to be here and be able to work here.
Right. Okay. So, but that would come with, for example, you can do sponsorship visas here. The whole point of me interested in is I want to be able to stay here, work here, but, open a new franchise. That way I'm allowed to stay here and then I can, run my business. So in that regard, so this is going to be used as my, sponsorship visa, but, I'm going to be
A2,
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so work with my team. And if everything qualifies and lines up, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. One final question I have. What's the qualifications for the tutors in this franchise? You don't have to be a tutor, right, as an owner, but what qualifies them to be a tutor at these, locations?
Yeah, great. Well, we actually have a full job description and characteristics, what to look for in a Code Sensei. And out of all of our centers open, Code Senseis are the easiest position to be filled. These are kids that are 16 to 22 years old. This is what they want to do with their future. They didn't just go out and drop 19 resumes in the community. They came to you pretty laser beam focused to be a part of your environment. So it's a little bit different of a position than just a high turnover role. So you're going to be seeing kids, like I said, 16 to 22 years old that have a computer science background. If you're in the UK, probably an ICT background. They have a robotics background. I mean, they're pretty. This is the environment they want to be a part of, and it feeds their future.
Okay, so in other words, it's us who's going to be hiring them. Obviously
you're going to be hiring them. Yes, you're
okay.
going to be hiring them as part-time employees. Yep.
Okay, and then you will have a say in who I hire. Like, do you have some kind of okay?
Well, they have to have a background check done. We're not
obviously.
going to have people that can't legally be in there. Yeah.
But absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course not. Okay. That's it for me.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Based on your experience, what is the number of recommended employees per location, and roughly how many man-hours a week do you anticipate it takes to run it?
So you're going to have you're definitely going to want to have a dedicated full-time center director. That's the face of your business. That's the culture builder. They're talking to parents, they're making phone calls, they're doing emails, they're working with your code senseis, they're doing the schedule. I mean, they're running your day-to-day business. That's a full-time position. You can't get away with that part-time. There's too much to do. So you're going to have that full-time center director. Then when you open your doors for business, you're going to have 3 to 5 part-time code senseis, and you'll grow that based off of your need and your growth of your center. They don't all work at once, so it's not like you're going to have 5 people there at one time. If you do, it's because you're loaded with kids. But typically 3 to 5 part-time code senseis to start, and then you'll add to that as time goes on.
And you all have training resources that you provide?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for taking my question. It's related to brand name. As you're growing your, franchisees, you're growing big into different countries. How do you make sure you're maintaining that brand name?
We have an entire compliance department. So everything that's done through Code Ninjas has to go through an approval process. You can't just open up where you want. You can't just put any sign up that you want. You can't just do any design that you want. We created this brand, and we're creating this marketplace, and we've done it with the help of franchisees. So all the Code Ninjas have to look the same, and we have the preferred vendors and the resources in place for everybody to kind of follow that path. When it comes to opening a Code Ninjas, everything has to go through an approval process.
Yeah, but what happens once it's opened?
What do you mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So on a long-term basis, I think what I'm trying to get away is, how do I make sure that another Code Ninja franchisee's behavior is not affecting my rate of return?
Well, that's kind of when it comes to affecting your business, I think it could be a little bit subjective, but they could be delivering a much better experience than you are. That could affect your business, or vice versa, right? So we depend upon franchisee feedback. We depend upon our customer feedback. We depend upon that. We also have multiple team members that live all over the country, and then we have our head office as well. So it's franchisees don't want their brand to go backwards. They want their brand to go forward. So it's pretty easy to have brand consistency in a franchise when you have franchisees that care the way ours do. They're going to let us know. They're going to give us that feedback and say, here's what's going on, here's what's happening. We depend upon our customer feedback, which we do surveys to multiple times a year. So we're getting that feedback from our students and their parents as well.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Hi. Sorry.
Yes. Hi. No worries.
I'm calling from Canada, and I was wondering about your comment that you're almost fully done with Canada. You're going to close out. Could you elaborate on? Do you have enough locations in Canada? Is that why already sold?
Yeah, we go based off the number of. Canada is probably a 50, 60 unit country. For Code Ninjas, and we've just surpassed 40. So, in 1 month, it's not uncommon for Code Ninjas to sell 10 to 15 locations. So, and we're working, I've actually pulled my marketing out of Canada completely for new franchisees. So I've already taken the step to stop completely doing development for new franchisees just to allow our existing franchisees to move forward. So I've actually already stopped marketing in Canada because we're working with so many people and get so many inquiries a day from Canada that we had to pull back and focus marketing elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. My question is another one simple question. The other one is, what is the minimum? Do you have a minimum square feet requirement for the property that we need, or is there anything like that?
In Canada and the U.S., you want to look for 1,600 square feet for Canada and the U.S. The U.K. is completely different monster.
Perfect. And who owns all the infrastructure in the facility, like the hardwares and all?
You do.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah. I was just had a question about the frequency of attendees, kids at the facility. So just if you might have touched on this earlier, why we are limiting these kids to only being able to come into 2 times a week, if you can elaborate on that.
Too much of any good thing can be bad. So it's also about absorption. They have to absorb this. It's not like they can just speak. Remember, they're 7 to 14 years old. So if you have somebody who wants to come in more than 2 hours per week, it's going to be a very small percentage. You don't need to be burning through all your students and burning them out and having them not want to even finish or come back. So we work with professional educators to pace our program as well. So we didn't just arbitrarily make up a number. We actually wanted to make sure we were working with professional educators on what makes the most sense. So
right.
2 hours a week is our average. We actually do a program you could go up to 3 hours per week, but 2 hours a week is about where the majority of our families sit.
And I'd assume that
you got to think of this too. I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
If I had to run around all town every single day all the time, I would get burnt out as a parent.
Right, okay. And then the age recommendation, I guess, for the Code Sensei, 16 to 22. Is that a strict guideline that you adhere to, or
no,
is there
that's just what we're seeing right now.
Okay, just on a typical level. Got you. Yeah, that's it for me. Just want a clarification on those 2 things.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, just looking through the investment numbers here on your website. I noticed the optional dojo to go has a pretty big dollar range on it, 0 to 100,000. Could you clarify more what that is and why the range is so high?
Sure, and it's a mobile gaming trailer, so they're typically $75,000 to $100,000 for those gaming trailers, depending on the size. In the beginning, we didn't. So you got to think of the transformation that's happened with Code Ninjas, where in the beginning we only offered the Code Ninjas drop-in program, which is now the Code Ninjas Create program. So that was all that we offered in the beginning, and that and some camps. Camps were only being able to be done on-site. Well, now what's happening is we've allowed, obviously we have a lot more programs, and we allow our Code Ninjas to take that camp-based curriculum and go out into the marketplace. So the Dojo to Go isn't as was in the beginning to solve a problem, and then we noticed that we were getting approached by so many schools, our franchisees were, that we actually changed that policy. So the Dojo to Go kind of became obsolete.
Okay. And then you mentioned earlier the month-to-month retention percentage. What was that again? I missed that. Average
right now in Code Ninjas in our centers is 8.6%, which is insane.
Okay. And then last question, where do we obtain the Item 9 info?
In the FDD. Okay. So in the franchise disclosure document, there's Item 7, Item 9, Item 19. It's filled with 287 pages of glory and gloriousness, so for you to review. And we can walk through that too, and when you have questions, my team can walk you through different aspects of that for sure.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, hello. I had two questions. First, I wanted to find out, since you guys have opened, I think it was 2017, have there been locations or dojos that have not performed too well or gone under? And if so, can you tell me what was the cause of that?
Great question. We have not had a closure to date. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So we are obviously always wanting to work with anybody who feels that their center is not performing, not doing well, and they maybe find out they're not an entrepreneur anymore. We've had situations where we've had owners who have had suffered great health issues, and we've had to, help them sell their center. So in some individuals realize they're just not an entrepreneur, or we have some individuals that are moving. We have not had any closures to date, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. The International Franchising Association states that if you have a 5% closure rate or less as a franchise, you're still considered a great opportunity. We can't force people to be ambitious. We can't force you to follow the game plan and the roadmap to move forward. We understand that things happen in people's lives where they thought they were an entrepreneur, then they turned out not to be, or they just lost ambition to do it. Maybe they got frustrated, whatever is happening, and it's just not moving forward. We want to be there to either help you selling. We started a program called Rapid where we actually help franchisees sell their centers, and we work with you as much as we can to help you move on if that's need be. But to date, we have not had any closures, and I don't see any in the foreseeable future. But if something comes through, we have to look at that and really analyze, what went wrong with us and what were the mistakes that were made by the franchisee.
Okay. My other question is in terms of the hours of operation. I understand it's an after-school program. What is the timing for that? And before the after-school program begins, what happens during that time? Is the center closed, or are there other activities that are happening?
There's a lot to do. I mean, especially with our 4 to 8 year old program now as well. That obviously opens up for the daytime when those little ones aren't in school. But also, there's a lot to do. We have an entire daily agenda broke down so that a center director knows what they need to do from when they walk in until they have kids start coming in. There's an hour by hour breakdown of what they should be doing or what they can't be doing as a suggestion. So they don't just come in and kind of wander around. They're going to be knowing what to do in the system for whether it's contacting parents or whether it's going to be out there marketing in the community. There's obviously a large homeschool community that's growing year over year over year. The state of California actually has a stipend that they use for families that are homeschooled as well that they can use on Code Ninjas. So there's plenty of things to do. We just have to find the pathway forward for you and your market. If it's not going to be homeschooled, maybe it's going to be the younger generation. There could be, we've had some of our franchisees do one-day workshops for people that are older. So there's plenty of things that you can be doing.
So the hours of operation would be then from 3 to 9 p.m. Is that right?
That's up to you as a franchisee. It's up to you as a franchisee. We suggest 3 to 7, 5 days a week. And then if you want to expand it after that, that's up to you. We have centers that are closed Monday through Thursday and open Saturday, Sunday. So only closed on Fridays. So it really would give that flexibility to you and your market. I mean, I live in northern Minnesota. It's crazy to think here that you'd be shut down at 7 o'clock at night. I mean, we're just getting going. So I pick my daughters up at theater at 9 o'clock at night. You have to adapt to your market.
Right. Cool. That's the questions I had.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Marty. This is Asta here.
Hi.
Canada. I'm calling you with regard to the tutors. Their average age, you said, is between 16 to 22. Now, what is the turnaround for these kids? Because they have definitely have goals and aspirations with regard to their education and careers. So, what are you seeing right now? I mean, how long do they stay with the franchise as a tutor?
Their kid. Remember, they're 16 to 22-year-old kids, so it's all over the board. But that is the easiest role for you to fill. That's not a complicated role at all.
Okay, I know they're the part-time tutors basically. And what is the average salary for these tutors in Canada right now?
Well, you're usually paying a minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
If you get a rock star, you might be paying them more, but typically it's minimum wage.
And the business director or the main manager there?
Usually at $35,000 to $45,000 a year with center benefit, center performance opportunities on top of that.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I have from my side. Thanks, Marty.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thanks. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi. Another question was regarding initial franchise fee versus area development fee. I read it somewhere that if you are already paid the area development fee, then you don't have to pay for any franchise fee for any number of locations you open within that area.
That's not true.
Okay. So
every location that you open, you have to pay a franchise fee for.
Okay. And what is an area development fee, which is on top of franchise fee?
Area development, the value of an area development is going to be the timeline you have to open. So it's going to be about the value of your timeline to open, not about the discount of a franchise fee. So it's going to be about your timeline. So for an example, if you have an area development which exists of 2 locations, you have 8 months to open up your first, and then 20 months to open up your second for the U.S. and Canada.
Okay. So I still pay $29,000 for each franchise, and on top of that, pay $29,000 for area development.
In the U.S., you would pay if your area development exists of 2 locations, you're paying $29,000 per location for the U.S. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, Marty. Good evening. This is Agatha and John from Woking. Hi.
Oh, wonderful. Great community.
Hi. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. One of the questions you've already touched on, but you said it was different for the UK, and that's regarding the size, the minimum size for the location. So in the UK, what is the minimum square footage for the location we're looking at?
Yeah, well, obviously in the UK we need to be a lot more flexible because of obviously the density and the space availability. So I suggest that you obviously look for up to 1,600 square feet, but the majority of the spaces we're finding in the UK right now are 12, 13, 14, 1,500 square feet. Isleworth, we found 1,400 square feet. So our spaces right now, to find 1,600 square feet available in London is pretty difficult. So we would love for you to be that size, but let's take a closer look and see what is available.
Okay.
Yeah, we have recently been looking, and we saw something that was about 1,400 square foot, but part of that is upstairs. So the bottom floor is 9,400 square foot, and the rest is upstairs. So we were just wondering if the bottom floor, the 9,400, would be not 9,400, 940 square foot.
Yeah, that might
bottom floor.
That'd be pretty small. Let's make sure you're working with my team out there, and let's talk about it and look at it and see if that could work. That seems pretty small, so we'd have to take a closer look.
Okay. Now the other question is that what would be a typical location for Code Ninjas? Well,
in London, you don't have to be on High Street, so it's not about being off a high street in these high trafficked areas. You can be off the beaten path, but you're going to want to look for an A2 retail space. We're the only coding franchise, only coding company in the UK that's A2 approved, and we just got approved through council. So look for A2 retail, which is service focused. Yeah.
Okay. And does being inside the mall, is that an option?
Get it my way. Let's take a look at it and see if we can make it an option. The UK, we have to be more flexible. It's not like the US and Canada where we have retail, everywhere and it's abundance. The UK is a little bit more limited. So let's take a look at it.
Okay. And also the other question that we have is, you mentioned that all the hardware, like the computers and stuff, the franchisee owns it. We own it. But how is it? Is that something that is purchased through a connection that Code Ninja has? And if so, is that cost already built into the lump sum fee for opening that franchise?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So we do have some connections, and it is built into that opening cost, yes. And then in London, in the UK, your opening costs are going to be a little bit less than the US and Canada, but we can talk more about what that looks like offline.
Okay, can you repeat the last thing you just said? I didn't hear that very well.
Yeah, so the costs of opening in London are going to be a little bit less than opening up in the UK. I'm sorry, opening up in Canada and the US. It's a little bit different of a model there. So.
Okay.
Now, as far as the building out the location, how do you ensure that there is consistency across all of the Code Ninjas in terms of the branding?
Well, I have a team in the UK, so I have a corporate office in the UK just like I have in the US. So my team is going to make sure that is all consistent.
Okay. All right. So I think that's all That's all we have for now. That's all the questions we have.
Well, I hope you guys are signed up for the November 11th Discovery Day. It's going to be huge, so it's going to be exciting.
Yes, we are signed up and we're going to be there. We're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
All right. Cheers. You have a question?
Yes. This is concerning the center director position. As a franchisee, can you fulfill that part of the?
Yes. Oh, for sure. Definitely. That's all you. Definitely can do that.
Okay. But if you had two centers, I guess that would kind of be a conflict of your time.
It'd be pretty busy.
That was my only question.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Last question. You have a question?
Hi, Marty.
Hi.
Yeah. Just one more question. In your experience, once approved, how long does it take to actually open a functioning center? Like, what is the lead time?
From the day you sign your franchise agreement to the day you open is about 6 months. Some of our franchisees have done it faster. So they've done it in 90 days. But, 6 months is about average.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Last question from the UK. You have a question?
Yes. Hello. We have one more question. Most of our students, most of the Code Ninjas, they are school-age kids. So we're just wondering, between 9 and 4 o'clock when the kids are in school, what is the typical activity for the center?
Well, so it all depends on, the Code Ninjas Pro program is there. There's a smaller homeschool. There's not a very large homeschooling community out there in the UK, but that 4 to 8 year old program, I know that in the UK it's required to go to school right around 4 or 5 years old. But you're going to be busy inside your center, obviously getting ready for your day and marketing your center. So there's an entire agenda. So the activity inside your center, if the Code Ninjas Pro curriculum is going, you could have labs, but also you're working and generating and working your business. It's not build it and they will come, right? So we have to be able to go get the customers and bring them in, whether that's through digital strategies, phone calls, emails, going out into the community, connecting with businesses and schools as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking the time. We had 50 people on the line for this long. If you're interested in coming to a Code Ninjas Discovery Day, please reach out to the individual that contacted you or myself, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at Code Ninjas. I really appreciate this many people being on the line for an hour. That's fantastic. Our next Discovery Day, we have 2 more coming up here in the States. We have 1 left that's going to be happening in the UK this year yet. If you have any questions, you need anything at all in regards to Code Ninjas, your questions weren't answered, please email me, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com. Thanks for your time today. Much appreciated.